just 9% of all plastic waste ever produced globally has been recycled, according to the United Nations report. India has also witnessed a similar trend when it comes to policymaking. So, Dr. Modak, there have been frequent policy changes to plastic usage in India. Single-use plastics have seen a ban in 2019. How is India progressing with plastic waste management?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. So if you look at the overall plastic waste management scenario in the country, the whole management is anchored, first of all, to the central plastic waste management handling rules, which are nationally applicable, framed out by the Central Pollution Control Board. But like you mentioned, from 2009, early 2019 onwards, led by some of the states like Maharashtra, Sikkim, you see plastic bans coming out from the state level. The challenge has been that the bans are not really coherent with the national plastic waste management handling rules. And there are fuzzy areas, especially when it comes to single-use plastic, and the definition is not consistently followed. And that has become one of the major impediments, because the material flow of plastic is not limited to the state, it's across the states in the country. And I would list that as one of the first challenges in terms of clarity of communication, in terms of link between what is banned at the state level and what is prescribed coming from the central plastic waste management handling rules. Now, while you also would see that plastic is such an important material which has to be looked into a perspective that, yes, indeed, we are not really banning plastic, but what we are trying to address is that how do we address the problem of its waste, or in specifically with the litter, and the litter part, which has the whole dimension of difficulty in collection and therefore putting the materials back into circulation, has been one of the great difficulties when it comes to implementation. So the challenging part now, I would say, add to that we have not been yet responsive to the COVID-19 challenge, because now you will see obviously an increase in the use of SUPs or single-use plastic, and that you find a trend almost globally, that there have been now, shall I say, breaks where people are not able to push the agenda of banning single-use plastic to the extent possible. So I would put, Suzanne, in two ways this challenge for us. One is the production of medical plastic is going to be steeply high in the next couple of years. That takes to the point, Shalini, you've been involved into impact on climate change, because if you look at the GHG contribution from plastic sector, today is really 16%, but it's hoped to go even more now because of more production of the medical plastic. And the second challenge has been the amount of biomedical waste which is rich in plastic reaching to the common biomedical waste hazardous facilities, which has been a challenge in terms of even coping with the additional volumes. But the high plastic content is giving difficulties into the optimal operations of the incinerators. So you have both in the production side and the end of life side challenges. Now that is where I would bring the importance of innovation, that how do we look at improving, for example, our packaging, which is again increasing because of e-commerce. Everybody is, getting materials delivered through Amazons and Flipkarts and what have you. So the packaging volumes are increasing, which has roughly 40% of plastic content. So I would say our policies and regulations, the way they are moving, are not either getting still responsive to or anticipating the COVID challenge, and not also going quickly upstream where you bring in sustainable packaging as an example. and alternatives to packaging overall, put upon as an important agenda. So the canvas is complex because of poorer definitions and inconsistencies between central and the state level. EPR framework just got out in terms of a uniform code. We yet to have to see how well it is going to function. And I'm going to take back to what Axel you said. I think this is where, since our central theme is what do we get in this collaboration, this declaration. And my judgment would be that the balanced approach, what you see in the EU, looking at upstream as well in product design and innovation, emphasizing a life cycle approach in the policies and regulations, and also taking the scale of circular economy at a regional level, which is important. And something exciting, I always feel that what EU is coming out with their different packages and the Green Deal, which Axel you talked about, is a nice example to see how the federal setup, so to say, equivalent to India, and the state relationships could work. I think we need to draw from this collaboration the institutional models the way they are. And Axel, you did talk about the monitoring and regular reporting requirements on the progress made on circular economy by different member states. I think we got to bring that in. And now very recently, as some of you know, state of Goa came up with their state level circular economy action plan. And I believe there's interest from state of Orissa and Telangana also ongoing. Why not we look at the experience of EU in these perspectives? And how do we push the platforms which EU created on innovation, mainly for products? And I think that emphasis is relatively less in our case. Too many of us, circular economy is still recycling. And I think that's something which I would say we need to take that perspective from the EU experience, that we are not just talking here about recycling. So Suzanne, this is my initial reaction to your question. But as we go along, I'll be happy to chip in.
Thank you.